This is the talk show that takes a no-holds-barred approach to politics, where truth and integrity are the standard and the Constitution honored. From Renaissance Studios, this is Champion News Talk Radio.
Good morning and welcome to a tax day edition of Champion News Talk Radio, brought to you by championnews.net, your choice for the conservative voice. This is Carol Parisi on this Sunday, April 15th, tax day, and our founder Jack Roeser and myself have Senator Dan Duffy with us from District 26.
Well, we're engaged in the big fight about the crookedness and the desperate financial shape of the state of Illinois. But we have an interesting fellow that is part of the solution to our major problems in the state, and it's Dan Duffy. Duffy is an Irish name, and so he's born to politics. But he's one of the good guys. When I first saw him, he was giving us a speech to the retired guys from the Barrington area, and he mentioned that he's a member of the NFIB, which is the National Federation of Independent Businessmen. They have maybe 22,000 small businesses in Illinois and maybe something like 500,000 nationally. And Duffy started right out talking about how important small business was to everybody. Mm-hmm. And when he finished talking, I stood up and I said, just want to say something. I said, this guy belongs to the NFIB, and that's a good idea. So send him money, and I sat down.
That's right. And I asked Jack to go with me to all my events after that.
Yeah, well, I went to a lot of nice homes. But Duffy is in his first term as a senator, state of Illinois. He's become a real leader, and of the conservative causes. He's a nice guy, but he's a stand-up guy.
So what I hear, Senator Duffy, you come from the private sector, the business environment. You weren't an entitled politician. You didn't move your way through the ranks,
right,
so to speak.
Right.
What type of business did you have?
Well, first off, thank you very much, Jack. That's very, very, very kind of you.
Well, you deserve.
I have a computer consulting company, so I started a company that specializes in a process called EDI, Electronic Data Interchange.
Okay.
So I've done that. I've been a small business owner now for going on 20 years. So, right, I didn't come up the typical way through the political cycle and follow the typical political program. I was real involved. I was running my day-to-day business. Mm-hmm. You know, first getting off the ground. I have 5 kids, so I was, running my family and running my business. And at the time, I thought that I, had too much going on to get involved in the day-to-day political things. Mm-hmm. But over time, I learned that, politics and business are opposite sides of the same coin. Mm-hmm. That, regulation, taxation, litigation obviously is going to impact your business. Yeah.
Don't do that again.
On a daily basis. So I started getting more and more involved in politics. I started speaking out about different issues, and one thing led to another, and ended up that Senator Bill Peterson, who was in the legislature for 25 years, I didn't know it, but he was thinking about retiring from office.
Okay. What year was this, Senator?
This was in 2008.
Okay, so this was the Obama.
Right, this is the Obama at the same time.
Okay.
So, and then people, some small business associations, people that were NFIB members and Illinois Chamber members, started saying, maybe we should have Duffy run for office as opposed to another career politician. Mm-hmm. Maybe we should have a small business owner run. And after thinking about it and talking to my family, I decided I'd take the challenge and I'd run for office.
Wow. Well, that's amazing, and that is exactly what our founders had envisioned for this country. Is you understand the concept of limited government and business, and now you want to serve to have better legislation and better policy. And Jack, you've known Dan, Senator Duffy, for a while, and did the party support you, Senator Duffy?
Initially I was people didn't know me that well,
right?
And people didn't never heard of me, and I wasn't really participating the way I think a lot of other people were. I didn't run for county board, that is, and I mean I was always active in the Republican Party, but I never held an office before. I wasn't on school board, I wasn't in the county board, or anything like that. So I think when I first initially ran, I think maybe people thought maybe it would be better to have somebody else who had some political experience in the past.
Okay.
But even more people thought, no, this is better to have somebody that has ran a business, has created jobs, has balanced a budget. It's better to have someone like that go to Springfield, especially right now when we have some serious financial problems, as opposed to some of the political
In small
experience.
business, you develop some kind of a feel for the problems of life, of getting along with people, customers, employees,
Right.
and still meeting the budget. Life is very practical for a small businessman, and doing a few years of it as you've done, it conditions you quite a lot of a feel for whether things are going right or not.
Right.
And you don't get that by being a college professor.
No, and I agree 100% because see, you're accountable and you're responsible for all your actions. So and you can't put those off on somebody else. And when you're a small business owner, you're in charge of everything from sweeping the floors, to making the sales calls, to printing the copies, to meeting with CEOs.
Well,
So-
I call small business owners CEOs, crap-eating owners, because you do everything.
Right.
Absolutely.
So when you learn how to do everything, if
Right.
you learn all aspects of the business, you learn how to handle every situation as it comes up. I think that's important when
Well,
you go
it keeps
down.
you fluid,
Right.
and it keeps you sharp,
Right.
and to think outside of the box.
Right.
Now, let me ask you something. What was your learning curve after you got elected and you went to Springfield? How was it not coming from this political arena, and how was it for you to go to Springfield, Senator Duffy?
Well, it was very interesting. It was a surprise and a shock. I expected it to be surprising, but to me, it was kind of shocking that we do things like spend money, and then at the end of session in May, we vote for the budget. We vote.
How would that work in your business? You
That's
spend the
kind
money
of
and
turned around.
Yeah, that's right. It's backwards. I don't know why. In January, in the first few weeks of session, we should be voting on the budget and figure out how much
In
money we have to
Washington,
spend.
the Democrats still don't have a budget. How many
Right.
years have they gone without the budget that's demanded by?
3 years.
3 years.
3 years.
Could you imagine running your business that
No,
way?
no.
I can't even imagine running my family that way, let alone a business, let alone a state, let alone a country.
Right.
Well, truthfully, for Illinois businesses, they've had two choices. Either they pull up their sleeves, they get in the mix, and they fix all the problems going on in Illinois, or they move out. And unfortunately, we've seen a lot of businesses leave Illinois.
Moving out.
That's the voice of Mike Brown, the fellow that technically makes this thing work.
Right.
Now, Senator Duffy, in Illinois, what do you feel is the most compelling issue that we face here in our state?
Right. Well, I think they go hand in hand. The financial problems with pensions and Medicaid, are putting our state so far in debt that then the leadership is doing things like raising taxes by 67%, which is forcing companies out of the state. So, it's a domino effect. It's a domino impact. For so long, the leadership in Illinois has kicked the can down the road and has not addressed pensions. Now, pensions, of course, and Medicaid are our top two number one expenses. Pensions are so far out of hand and need to be reformed that's causing other things to happen. It's causing us to, run out of money in other areas. Therefore, the state is trying to do all these other things. Like we said, that they're kind of trying to rearrange the seats on the Titanic. Well, we need to get off the Titanic and solve these long-term problems like reform pensions and reform Medicaid. Doing things like raising taxes last year by 67%. In a late night, lame duck session, was borderline criminal because now you're forcing small business owners to leave the state in droves and go to Wisconsin and Indiana
Florida.
and Iowa and Florida and other states because you can't afford to create jobs here in the state of Illinois. You can't survive and get by. So that makes things very, very difficult. And then compounding the problem, another domino effect is you have the state of Illinois then act like they're making deals for businesses by giving these special tax deals to the select few.
Where's the tax deal for those of us who are being mistreated regularly and for years by Illinois?
Right.
Yeah, well, why don't we get a tax break?
Why don't we get a tax
No,
break?
we got a tax increase, and they bring somebody in from the outside, us small business guys.
You don't get any breaks.
No.
We don't have any lobbyists sitting down in Springfield. So recently, Sears was the latest one that received a special tax deal. That's wrong. Even though I'm pro-business 100%,
Right.
and I'm always looking out for less regulation, less litigation, less taxation, making special deals for certain companies, giving money and special breaks to the politically connected who
Wow.
have high-priced lobbyists is bad. It's
Isn't that crony capitalism?
That's
Isn't
crony
that
capitalism.
Picking winners and losers.
It's definitely picking winners and losers. It's also like paying for hostages, because once you do it for one, then they're all going to want that same treatment.
waiting in line.
Otherwise, they're going to leave. And who pays for that bill? That tax bill
The
doesn't go away.
taxpayer.
Yeah, the taxpayer, the
Hard
small
money.
business owner.
People with money have options. If you own things, or if you're head of a family and you have some money, it's the golden rule. He who has the gold makes the rules.
Right,
And
right.
they're mobile. They don't have to
Right.
stake here and take the crap from the likes of the Democrats that have been running Chicago and downstate.